Imagine two of the most formidable women in America, Judge Judy and former Attorney General Pam Bondi, locked in a live CNN town hall showdown that shattered every expectation about courtroom decorum and political debate. What was supposed to be another evening of polished television turned into a national spectacle that no one could have predicted. The evening started like any other on CNN. Anderson Cooper sat behind the desk, studio lights gleaming off polished surfaces, and a packed audience buzzing with anticipation. The topic was immigration policy, but the real story wasn't about policy details. It was about the collision between Judy Shaindlin, the no-nonsense TV judge who turned small claims court into primetime entertainment, and Pam Bondi, Florida's former attorney general and a conservative icon known for her tough stance on crime. At first it seemed civil. Judge Judy spoke with calm authority, her voice crisp and even. "Our laws exist to protect people, plain and simple," she declared, folding her hands on the table. "Every individual must answer for their actions." Bondi nodded politely, acknowledging Judy's reputation before delivering her own opening remarks. "As Attorney General, I face transnational gangs smuggling drugs, weapons, and fear across our borders," she said, her tone firm. "We cannot afford to be timid when public safety is on the line." Anderson Cooper leaned in, his eyes shifting between the two women. "Ms. Bondi," he asked, "what about using the Alien Enemies Act to deport undocumented immigrants tied to gang activity?" The studio air thickened with tension. Judy's gaze sharpened. Bondi squared her shoulders. Without missing a beat, Bondi responded, "The data is clear. Gang networks exploit weak borders to terrorize communities," she stated, locking eyes with Judy. "Deportation under the law isn't cruel, it's responsible. It protects Americans from violence." A ripple of applause moved through the audience, but Judy remained unfazed. She tapped her fingers lightly on the table, a trademark move that always signaled a brewing storm. "Ms. Bondi," Judy replied, her voice edged with steel, "you wield statistics like a weapon. But what about individual accountability? Justice isn't a blunt instrument. It has to be guided by compassion and fairness, not just force." Her words settled over the room like a heavy fog. Bondi offered a measured smile. "Compassion doesn't mean ignoring criminal behavior," she countered. "When I prosecuted drug lords in Florida, I thought about the families living in fear. My job was to protect those who follow the law, not coddle those who break it." The applause this time was louder. Some in the audience cheered. Others exchanged uneasy glances, caught between admiration and concern. Judy's eyes narrowed. "You frame your policies as moral crusades," she said, her voice low and cutting. "But I've seen what happens when courts become political stages. You risk turning justice into a performance." Anderson Cooper tried to interject, but Judy wasn't finished. She raised her finger. "No, I'm not done," she insisted. "You may have law degrees, but you're still learning what justice truly means." The audience held its collective breath. Bondi leaned forward, her gaze steady, her voice sharp. "At least I'm not selling drama for ratings," she fired back. "I've stood in real courtrooms where the stakes were life and death, not minutes before a commercial break." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Microphones buzzed with tension. Cooper struggled to regain control. "Ladies, let's stay focused on policy," he urged. "How do we balance enforcement with fairness?" But Judy pounced. "Fairness isn't a catchphrase you flash for applause," she declared. "It's earned through honest adjudication, not political edicts." Bondi's jaw tightened, but her posture remained composed. "I respect your tenure on the bench," she said, "but I've battled real crime firsthand. When you remove a dangerous gang leader, you prevent dozens of future crimes. That's responsibility. That's justice in action." The audience erupted. Some rose to their feet. Cheers and whispers filled the room. Judy's expression flickered. For the first time, it seemed, she had been outshone on her own turf. Anderson Cooper asked another question, but the room was electric with tension. Bondi seized the moment. "Justice isn't about grand theories," she proclaimed. "It's about results, safe streets, protected families. If you call that politics, fine. I call it doing my job." Judy's gaze faltered briefly. She pressed her lips together, her voice softer, but still firm when she finally spoke. My courtroom gave everyday people a chance to be heard, she said. You're talking about deportations that separate mothers from their children? Where's the humanity in that? A hush fell over the studio. Bondi's eyes glinted with determination. Humanity thrives when law and order prevail, she replied. I've seen young parents bury their children after gang violence. Would you have us turn a blind eye to protect a public image? The question struck like thunder. The audience leaned forward, hanging on every word. The exchange turned more personal. Judy accused Bondi of turning justice into politics. Bondi rebutted, claiming Judy cloaked herself in celebrity while real victims suffered. Cooper's attempts to moderate were drowned out by the intensity of their standoff. Both women brought decades of experience and unshakable conviction. Judy, the courtroom queen of daytime television. Bondi, the battle-hardened prosecutor from Florida. Finally, Cooper called for a brief break, his voice once steady, now barely above a whisper. The cameras panned across Judy's steely expression and Bondi's composed posture. The studio lights dimmed, but the sparks between them only burned brighter. By that point, social media had already exploded. Hashtags like Jury, Bondi owns Judy, and Town Hall Showdown were trending worldwide. Clips of their fiery exchange racked up millions of views within hours. When the town hall resumed, Cooper posed the question that had been simmering beneath the surface all night. How do we ensure the justice system resists political pressure? Bondi spoke first, her tone polished, practiced, and potent. We need transparency and accountability from the ground up, she said. Legislation should be clear, enforcement consistent, judges independent. Her words resonated with part of the audience, but Judy wasn't done. She leaned forward, her elbows on the desk. Independence is earned, she shot back. It's not dictated. A judge who bends to political winds is no judge at all. The audience murmured. Some nodded in agreement. Others sat frozen, unsure whose side to take. Bondi countered with one final blow. Justice is not a TV show, Judge Shaindlin, she declared. It's the daily work of prosecutors, investigators, and law enforcement who risk their lives to keep us safe. You may have ruled on neighbor disputes, but I've confronted international crime rings. The applause was deafening. Bondi's closing words had landed with the force of a gavel. Judge Judy sat back, her face unreadable, her trademark confidence momentarily eclipsed. Anderson Cooper wrapped up the segment with a visible mix of awe and exhaustion, praising both women for their passion and dedication. But everyone watching understood what had happened. A legend had met her match. As the cameras cut away, Bondi left the stage, bathed in triumphant light. Judy exited with a rare look of uncertainty, a subtle crack in her courtroom armor. Beyond the broadcast, the digital world dissected the confrontation. Clips of Bondi's final argument flooded social platforms. The showdown was no longer just about immigration or policy. It had become a symbol of competing visions for justice. Viewers argued in comment sections across the country. Was Bondi too harsh? Did Judy lack real-world experience? The debate ignited a national conversation. The town hall would not be remembered for nuanced discussions of immigration reform. It would be remembered as the night when pop culture, political power, and legal philosophy collided. And one woman walked away as an icon of modern law enforcement. Judge Judy may have returned to her television empire, but Pam Bondi left that stage with a new title, America's latest symbol of uncompromising justice. And if you want to hear more stories that challenge power, expose the truth, and make America listen, don't forget to subscribe to Hill Stories, hit that like button, and ring the bell so you never miss the next moment that makes headlines.